23-time Grand Slam champion, 4-time Olympic gold medalist, the woman who holds the world's #1 rank for 319 weeks. She launched Serena Ventures, which invests in dozens of startups, opened schools in Kenya, and now for her most recent venture, getting buddy with Big Pharma. Let's break it down. So before I begin, I just want to say that I am not mad at Serena. This is not about to be bad about I try my best not to talk bad about women, especially black women, especially publicly. What we do though, is we get to deconstruct, we can critique, and we can offer insight, and we can give our point of view without tearing each other down. And I want to show you how we do that today on the episode of Breakdown of Bond. Now, as much as I want to go into is Crunch or Cult Part 2, because the momentum and the stories are flooding in. So if you worked for Crunch or you currently do work for Crunch and you want me to tell your story, go ahead and shoot it this way. Do know that if they try to come against me and like sue, then yes, you will have to come forward. But at that point, it's going to be a shit show on their hands, because you're going to have eyewitness accounts and there will be a paper trail. So they probably won't do that. But anywho, we got to talk about this whole Ozempic and Serena thing. Like, that's where my focus is right now. And if you follow me on TikTok, you have seen me ranting about it. I've done 2 posts today, and I'm pretty sure I wrote a Substack earlier this morning. It's driving me insane, and let me tell you why. So on the last episode, we talked about conscious consumption, which nobody watched, and that's fine. Maybe you guys will go back and watch it after you see this one. Conscious consumption just means like, okay, we all want to be woke, or we want to be progressive, or we want to at least, be better than the people before us. So how can I be more conscious where I spend my money? I talked to you about how maybe you cannot avoid Walmart or Amazon or all these big brands, but when you can, try to put your money into these smaller businesses in your community, especially the underserved and the minorities that have a harder time getting access to capital. Women only get 2% of venture capital. Black women only get less than 1% venture capital. So that means that if we do want to start up, we'd have to rely on someone like a Serena or an angel investor or someone to give us money, because traditionally they are not going to us. Okay, we covered all of that already. We talked about how when you have a person of color versus a person who maybe is at the top of the food chain, if they have comparable, whatever, it's like, please try to spread that wealth evenly. Like they said, trickle down economics, that shit never trickled down. It only trickled down on one side. Okay, so we're all caught up. We're talking about conscious consumption. So now we get to look at it from a different perspective, because anytime I've ever talked about nutrition, I was like, guys, you need to know that when someone's trying to sell you something in nutrition, you need to understand like, what is their motive? What is their ammo? What is their agenda? Even me, I'm not selling you shit, but the services that I offer. And what is my ammo? Like, I want to eat. And when it comes to who you're buying stuff from, you have to understand, are you buying from someone who is a skilled salesperson? Are you buying from someone who doesn't give a fuck about you, but knows that they can make good money off of you, which is the majority of the fitness industry? Or, is this someone who has a quality product, is a person of integrity? That's what I mean by being a conscious consumer. So when it comes to people like Serena Williams, who, as I mentioned, she's got a bunch of accolades and she has done enough to show that she does well with her money, we get to take it a step further, because if you don't know this already, and I'm sure you do, people with money start things called foundations. That's actually who I'm applying to get money from now, since the federal government took women, underserved, Hispanics, veterans, disabled, marginalized people, gays out of federal grants and funding. So now I get to look for people like Serena who take some of their money and give it to a cause that they care about. A lot of them do it because when I get rich, that's what I want to do, right? Foundations for single mothers, foundations for gay people who try to get married, like whatever the fuck. Like, I want to give money to people who have been in my shoes or whose stories I can relate to. But they also give money because it's a fucking tax write-off, and it's a way to not have to pay more taxes, right? And so when you see these people doing stuff, you have to ask yourself, are they doing this because they actually believe in this product and what it does, or are they doing it because it's going to make them richer? Okay. That is like when I used to stick up for celebrities, and there's still some, like, I'm going to tell y'all who I like, because y'all be so ready to cancel people. Y'all are fucking insane. Sorry. That's my Siobhan Speak social audience. You guys are actually, I don't know, because we're still building this community. So anyway, the point is, I forgot my point, and I can't sip my water because my water is holding up my laptop. People aren't genuine. There are some people who can sell really well, and there are some people who just are very confident in what they say. And that's kind of the scape of our political area right now, is people who know how to talk really well, but they don't really believe in what they're saying. dang it, man, I really just keep blending my political page with this one. We're probably just going to make one podcast one day where it's like Siobhan Speaks Breakdown Social. I don't fudging know. Anywho, it's extremely disappointing to see a woman and to see a black woman doing this. And I'll explain why as we go through this. The bottom line between her doing this and Taylor Swift doing her little billionaire bubble album, whatever, dropping, like, my brain is just like, what? Like, y'all were never on our side. Or if you were, you forgot where you came from. And I think that if anything, that is the highlight of what I want to talk about today, is not conscious consumption and not forgetting where you came from. And we'll see how this episode goes from there. But seriously, please don't forget where you came from. Do not be that woman. All right, moving right along. The part that pisses me off the most about this gesture is that historically, fitness spaces have been exclusive. Right? A personal trainer costs money. And even though I have tried to make personal training more accessible because it is preventative healthcare, it's a luxury, right? Just like getting your nails done. Some of you women that don't want to invest in a personal trainer, but you get your nails done. You invest in luxuries, just not the kind that are actually going to do something for you in the long run. Nonetheless, fitness has been an exclusive space for people that have money, for people that have the time. Because you got to have time to meal prep and or the money to eat healthy. You got to have time to come work out and or the money to pay someone to make sure that it's usually right now more than anything is like faith and fitness go hand in hand. So it's like the rich people and the spiritual people. And this is the space, especially you feel this in Crunch, which is why I have so much animosity towards them. When I go in there, I feel fucking MAGA, right? Like I can feel, they might as well play Hillsong 1 minute and then play whatever rap song is acceptable for them to listen to before they pull up to the church parking lot. But it's just like you can feel the MAGA. You can feel the people that will be singing Hillsong on Sunday and then maybe in their car calling me the next day. I don't know, but I can't stand walking into most Crunches. And that just kind of, they give literally Crunches like the poster for toxic gym culture, at least the ones over here in this area. And their staff doesn't do anything to shun that down, especially since they hire based off of looks, aesthetics, and then obviously they just need warm bodies. But anywho, let's get back. I think Crunch is going to be my, Janae on TikTok, and she always throws shade at J-Lo. I think my forever shade is going to be Camp Call Out Mercedes and Crunch, because fuck them. All right, so back to fitness has historically been a privileged place. And so I'm trying to open up the space because it shouldn't fucking be that way. It would be one thing if it was like nails are for privileged people. Weave is for privileged people. No, bitch, like we have to be able to work. We have to have the energy to get to work every day and to keep functioning, because unlike everybody else, we don't have trust funds. We don't have savings. We don't have an uncle somewhere, a rich husband. Like we have to work or else we will die. And when you have fitness spaces that don't make it inclusive and in fact make it exclusive so that you feel like an outcast if you're not already in shape, if you don't have the money to be here every single day, or if you don't have the money to eat perfectly healthy, or if you don't have the time, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, or if you're not part of the Faith Fit crew because your body's a temple. Again, some of this sounds like reaching, but stay with me. I'm going to come full circle with this. I promise you. Fitness is still, especially in this country, sadly, it's a privilege. In other countries, I have a client right now in Hungary who every summer she goes and she'll send me pictures of her life over there, how she has to walk everywhere, how the stores have healthier food. And we don't see the obesity epidemic over there like we do over here. Why? Because we are set up to be workers. We are set up to go to work and then come home. They make healthcare, and that does not care about us. It just cares about continuing to go. That's what, like, they don't care, because if you fall out at work, they'll step over you and put somebody else in your place. Remember that, right? So this is why it hurts so much for me to see Serena do that. Like, I'm still connecting the dots. Stay with me. She may not realize that's the reality that a lot of her fans have, is that we're not all going to pay to go see the Wimbledon and then going to have golf courses and brunch and tea. We may fake that on the gram, or, there's plenty of people who are living that life, but the average American is choosing between whether they're going to pay their whole light bill or whether they're going to fill up their gas tank, whether they're going to keep their $10 Crunch membership or whether they're going to try to do it on their own on YouTube. Right? Like, these are real problems that people are facing, and some people didn't even think they'd ever be here. Do you think that people that are homeless thought one day I'm going to be homeless? Probably fucking not. And so it's very easy to forget where you came from. And in Serena's case, I don't think she actually came from that. I didn't watch the whole movie, but I know that her dad, that they lived in LA, was it Oakland? And that's not the best neighborhood. But what I do know is that they had enough proximity to whiteness, and they had enough proximity to people who played tennis. If you have friends that play tennis, play golf, or have boats, you're already somebody more connected than the majority of people that wherever you came from. He had enough connection, and it's not just about whether they had money or not. It's the proximity to it. As someone that grew up in Winter Park, Florida, and drove around McMansions all the damn time, and my friends had mansions, and like I just got to see what wealth was. Even if I thought it was off limits for me, I had proximity to it. I saw it. I knew that it was attainable, even if this was the barrier. So that, I mean, I had to be less me, but that's a whole nother story. We don't do that anymore. My point is this: they may not have come, they did come from the bottom, but you lose sight of that, especially if while they were coming up, they were like immersed in that world. Why can't I talk? They were submerged into that world of lavish living. So this kind of life that she's living, I know that they came from Oakland, but from what I can tell from their stories, they've been kind of living a much more privileged life than their counterparts since like elementary school, middle school, or at least high school. They got to go to private schools. They got to have private tennis instructors. Personal trainers are expensive, let alone a fucking tennis instructor. So to my point, sometimes celebrities lose touch with reality. And to her defense, I was trying to paint the scene that maybe she can't relate as much as we think she can. Either way, Taylor Swift, I don't know. Maybe this album that she's got is speaking to her fans more than we can hear. Like, you got to be in the Taylor Swift world to hear how it's deep. But like, I think that was so tone deaf. And this, Serena, when people are literally fighting for their lives, I know, hey, this is what's going to help people get off the weight loss. Is it? My girlfriend works in medical malpractice, wrongful deaths. The type of cases that come across her desk would make your stomach turn from women on Ozempic. I have trained women who were not fat, but just didn't eat, thought they could intermittent fast and not eat their way to losing weight after 40, just continuing to work out and not eating, so they went on Ozempic. And as a result, they had kidney stones. There are people who, I'm trying to wrap my mind around why she thought this was a good idea, because at the end of the day, the drugs themselves are not the problem, right? It's the fact that when I opened my app, every single app I was on, I was bombarded with her suggesting this medicine, right? And there's no context. People are like, it changed my life. How did it change your life? Like, what do you mean? Because you're a multimillionaire. So when you say that to someone who's living paycheck to paycheck, who's looking for a win anywhere they can, and then you sell them on Big Pharma, which we know is not the friend of the working class. It is a cycle, because once you get sucked into Big Pharma, it's very hard to get off of it, because they don't treat symptoms, or they don't treat illnesses. They don't try to find cures. They treat the symptoms. You're hungry? Here's something to knock your hunger out. Just take that forever. You'll never be hungry again. It's fine. That doesn't help people. And for someone that has that much money, again, I don't know if she's just out of touch with reality, which is what it sounds like, or if it was just something to make some money off of, right? Because her husband is a shareholder, which is my biggest red flag of all of this shit. So at the end of the day, I'm not so much mad that she teamed up and did a partnership with a drug. I feel like there should have been better promotion of it, talking about how she trained. But the part that gets me, and she's like, it changed my life. And I'm like, you have a level of motivation, muscle memory, discipline, and dedication that is unmatched, not just to the regular person, but to most fucking athletes in the world. Like, did you remember the accolades from the beginning of this video? Like, she is not normal. So her taking a drug is probably going to, like, it's not going to hit the same way as someone that sits on their ass all day. Forgive me, guys. Most Americans do. I'm one of them. Sits on their ass all day and works out 2 to 3 times a week for 30 minutes. They may not have that six-pack that she has. In fact, most people won't have that six-pack that they have, because most people carry fat in their gut. But I'm just so frustrated, because as someone that fights so hard to be transparent, and someone that fights so hard to try to tell people the whole story, and knowing how Americans are, I think that's what it is. I'm just so pissed off, because it's like, I try to move with integrity. I try to do things that won't fuck over my fellow man. I try to think of how it's going to affect people in the long run, and most people don't do that. And I get told that that's silly. I get told you got to look out for number one. And it's like, I am looking out for number one, because y'all may not realize this, but no good deed comes unpunished. So when I'm using, and with great power and great influence comes great responsibility. And it just pisses me off that there's people that have these platforms and are just so careless with the messages that they send out and the examples that they set for people. That's all I got for today, guys. Because my brain, like, I'm getting madder at it. I'm not mad at her, but just the situation. Like putting a fucking AI factory in the hood, Elon Musk, so that it's like, they just don't care. They don't see us as people. They just see us as dollar signs and means to an end, which is also why I'm so mad at Crunch. You guys get the picture. Anywho, till next time, let me know your thoughts on this. I'd love to hear how GLP-1s have helped you and how you're doing post, taking them, especially if you're on them. I know they work great. I want to hear from people who've taken them and, what they needed to do to keep those results. But yeah, it just pisses me off because people work their asses off. And just when people that have money put things like this, like putting drugs in the hood or what, like, you're just not even thinking, you don't care. Or it's not that you're not thinking, you just don't care. And I'm just tired of living in a world where people don't care. And that is the breakdown with bonds for today. Till next time.